Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Adeo Ressi. I'm CEO of the Dessel Group. The Dessel Group is modernizing venture capital and transforming the asset class into a uh, force for good in the world. And we're doing a lot of different initiatives. I call it training, tools, and capital. And I'll walk you through each, and then I'll introduce you to the LP Institute. So on the training side, we have the leading venture capital accelerator in the world called VC Lab. Just to give you a sense of scale, we've accelerated about half of all new manager venture capital firms worldwide over the last 2 years. In addition to that, on the training side, we're training associates and venture partners to go into the venture capital asset class and work for various firms, including the firms that we've started. And then last but not least, at the request of venture capitalists themselves, we launched the LP Institute, which is really designed to help uh, new and experienced limited partners master the art of investing in emerging managers, because it's very easy to invest in established managers. It can be a little challenging to invest in new and emerging managers. And so we give a lot of tips and tricks on how to do that. And I'm going to cover some of that today. But as part of the LP Institute, we really modernized what the experience is to be a limited partner. And I'll be talking about that as well. So it's really just an exciting time for the overall asset class. So that's the training component. Then we have tools and capital. So on the tools side, we've built the leading platform or operating system to run a venture capital firm. And it's really focused on the general partners. But by focusing on the general partners sit between limited partners and startups. And so the tools that we've built have amazing features for limited partners. I'm going to show you some of them in a moment. And they also help these general partners manage their interactions with the startups as well. So we're in fact creating this new, vibrant, connected ecosystem that's long overdue in the venture capital world. Um, and then last but not least, again, training, tools, and capital. Maybe just one other thing on the tools side. So as I mentioned, we did about half of all the firms and funds in the training. And we've launched about 500 firms, just over 500 firms through the training. And on the tool side, we have about 900 firms that are using Dessel Hub for back office, our platform, our operating system. And we have a waiting list of about 500 firms that want to use it. And tomorrow, I'm doing an onboarding session with 200 firms. So, there's just a lot of demand for what we're making in all the different areas. And that brings me to capital. And on the capital front, we have our own fund of funds that we are making investments into new and emerging managers. And on top of that, we are matching LPs and GPs. So we're helping these new and emerging managers get capital either by our direct investments or by pairing LPs and GPs together. And that's been a big innovation. So why don't I get going and share my screen? We have some good turnout here. Hi, everybody. And I'll be showing you some of the things that I was just talking to you about. So let me share, make it a little better size. And we'll be covering, oh, did I share my whole screen? Yes, I did. I only meant to share one little piece of the screen. So you got to see the largest monstrosity of a screen. Here you go. Now you're going to just see the LP Institute presentation. And so I'm going to be talking you everything you need to know about this upcoming program. At the end, there'll be some time to ask questions. If you have anything you want to ask, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. And you can also post in the chat, and I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and the Q&A button. So with the LP Institute, we are building a modernized venture capital and LP experience so that, in the past, the way you would invest in funds is kind of antiquated. You'd wait around and some people would come to pitch you, and then you would pick between the ones that you came to you, and you would find the best one that met your needs. And of course, you always knew that there were other things that you didn't get to see and you were wondering what they were. Well, we're fixing all of that. We're modernizing it. We're bringing it into the 21st century. A lot of the ways it operated in the past was like the 20th century, and sometimes it felt like the 19th century. And so, the first things I just wanted to show you is this dashboard that we've created for LPs. And what you can see here is that you, as an LP coming into this program, really kind of for the first time that I'm aware of, you're going to have a list of, a good double-digit percentage of the best new and emerging managers that you can browse and search for to find the managers that you want to invest in. So that, as the tagline at the top says, that you can invest in a future that you believe in. So if you want to invest in female AI managers in Africa, you can find female AI managers in Africa to invest in. If you want to invest in, longevity managers in Silicon Valley, you can find longevity managers in Silicon Valley. So we've created this experience where you, as an LP, can discover what you're interested in and then find managers that share your values and your vision of the future and very easily engage with them and then invest in them, right? So we're flipping the paradigm, because the way that things used to work is that you would sit there and be like, hi, I'm an LP, and some managers would come to you, hopefully, and maybe you needed to find them in some cases. But whatever the situation was, you were looking at a very small sliver of what was available in the world. And then you had to make an investment decision, a subjective investment decision, limited data and limited access to managers. And now we're flipping it where you can find the managers that you want to invest in and then go to them. And everybody loves this much better. The LPs love it better because they can finally see a big swath of the market and choose between things that they want to do. And we're seeing LPs that have told us, hey, I want to invest in 2 or 3 managers, being like, I'm going to invest in 5 or 10 managers because I found 5 or 10 managers that really get me excited that I want to invest in. Right. And the GPs, the venture capitalists, they love it too. They're like, oh, these LPs are coming to me that actually want to meet me, that are actually interested in what I'm doing. And it's been this remarkable unlock that has really brought a modern experience to the LP GP sourcing relationship development. All of these things have just been, as I said earlier, brought into the 21st century. And so beyond that, which is going to just change your experience as an LP, you're going to meet amazing peers in the LP Institute program. You're going to meet people who will be your friends and co-investors for decades to come. You're going to learn the core skills of investing in new and emerging managers, which is, very different from investing in established managers, right? As an LP going into an established manager, you have tons of data. You can make relatively objective decisions. as an LP going into new and emerging managers, you are making largely subjective decisions. But we're going to tell you what pieces you can make objective, what pieces are subjective, and help you navigate that and help you make good decisions. And at the end of the day, that's going to result in you making great returns, because if we do all this well, you're going to pick great managers and you're going to be able to get great returns, right? Because that's what this is all about. Investing in things you believe in, investing in a future you believe in, and then ultimately picking good managers so that you get great returns. And, that's the LP Institute. I'm going to cover a bit more, but on a high level, that's it. Um, we will help you master venture capital investing. It will only take a few hours per week. So this is not a 50-hour a week immersive thing. Our goal is that it's 6 hours or less, and you could spend up to, let's say, 10 hours if you want to go deep on certain things. So you should be able to get through it in 6 or less hours, as I mentioned. But a lot of people get really interested in components of due diligence, or they get really interested in like they find more managers that they want to meet, and then it can go up to around 10 hours. But again, that's if you go beyond the 6 hours, it's only because you're particularly interested in something. And beyond that, again, as you've got the socializing component of the programs, you're going to meet the amazing peers that we talked about. In addition, and there will be a session every week so that you can socialize with like-minded limited partners. So we take all the limited partners in the program and we break them into groups, and you will socialize with peers that are in a similar situation to you, investing a similar amount of money, possibly in the same region. And so you'll have much in common with your working group peers. Beyond the socializing, every week there's a mentoring session. So these are 1 hour of socializing every week, 1 hour of mentoring every week, right? So that's 2 of the 6 hours. And we're bringing in the top limited partners to come and talk to you about what it's like to be a limited partner and how to invest in new and emerging managers. And all the mentoring follows a curriculum, which I'll talk about next. So the 2 hours, again, 1 hour socializing, 1 hours of mentoring a week. These are, socializing is not recorded, obviously, but the mentoring is recorded. So you can watch it at any time if you can't attend the session live. They're set up at time zones that work kind of everywhere in the world. And then the third point is that we're providing you with a curriculum and materials. So every week you're given a sprint to do to learn. And that's where the other 4 hours come in. And you'll, as part of that sprint, we give you articles to read, we give you things to do, and that will amount to roughly 4 more hours, sometimes 6 more hours a week of work, bringing let's call it 6 to 10 hours total. If you go deeper, like maybe you like an article and you want to do more research, and you go over the 6 hours as we discussed before. And last but not least, you're going to have all of that context, and you're going to be working on actual investments, right? Because this is a learn by doing program. You can't learn to be a limited partner without actually being a limited partner. So you will work on real investments into actual venture capital firms in order to learn how to make investments into actual limited partner firms, because the entire experience of being a limited partner is, especially in new and emerging managers, is about training your instincts, training your gut. And you can't do that by just reading papers and watching videos. You have to actually deal with real venture capitalists who are pitching you, and you got to say, like something's right here, something's wrong here, something I really like, something I don't like. And, a lot of that's going to be individual to you. So we're going to give you lots of guides and help you and do office hours with you. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to discover this on your own, going through a process of making an investment. Now, you don't have to make an investment. Okay. Just want to make that clear. There are people who've gone through the program and not made an investment. But I would say of the 100 something limited partners that have completed cohort 1 and 2, 90% have made an investment. I mean, they're coming into the program to make an investment. The ones that haven't made an investment, they just didn't find something in the period of the program that they wanted to invest in, but their intention is to make an investment. And they went through the process of making an investment. They just didn't find something that they wanted, right? So you will go through the process to make that investment. Okay. So I'm going to walk through some common questions that we'll be answering in the program, and then of course we'll be taking your actual questions at the end. So the big question that we're going to explain during the program is how venture capital really works. And I think there's a lot of limited partners that have a decent sense of it, and we're going to give you a good sense of it. So like, let's say I have no idea how it works. I have a decent sense. I have a good sense. I have a real understanding. I'm a master. So we're going to take you from 0 to good. So you'll understand, it's one thing to understand, venture capitalists do capital calls. Okay. So if you invest in a venture capital fund, you don't put all the money in at once. Okay. That's sort of well known and well documented. And that's a good thing for an LP to know because it's how you interact with a VC. But we're going to go a little deeper. Like, what are the things that venture capitalists care about? How do they look at the world? What are they trying to do, right? So that you can understand their objectives, their goals, their needs. Like, why do they do management fees on a waterfall, right? Where they start out higher and they go lower, right? Because a lot of LPs are like, I don't want to pay management fees on a waterfall. Okay, it doesn't really matter to you because the total management fees will be the same. So why do VCs do that? And what does it mean? And like, should you care as an LP? We'll cover things like that. We'll cover the power law, right? For a lot of LPs, they learn the power law kind of after they start making venture investments. And we're going to explain what the power law is and why it's important and how VCs think about it. Because a lot of times, just to give you a sense, if you're an LP and you invest in a few funds, and you're going to hear pretty much every mentor tell you that that's needed, right? You really shouldn't just invest in one fund. You should invest in multiple funds. It's very likely that there'll be one company in one fund that gives you most of your actual monetary return from the entire venture capital and direct investing that you're doing, like literally. So the power law is really important. Understanding it in venture is really important. We're going to be covering a lot of that stuff in the program. Another common question that we get and that LPs need to understand is like, what type of returns can you actually expect? And so like, look, I mean, it's a high risk, high reward type of investing to invest in venture. I mean, as one of our top mentors says, you can only lose 1x your money. And that's a fair point. But the reality is that, even the worst performing venture capital firms and funds rarely go to zero. So the way venture capitalists returns work is there's the top decile, which get fabulous returns, the top quartile, then there's the middle bucket, bottom quartile, bottom decile. And we'll be covering all that, what kinds of returns you can expect in each bucket. And a lot of returns, which is another kind of wrinkle, are concentrated on these amazing vintage years, right? So 2009 was like a historic vintage year with Uber and Slack and tons of great companies getting started. So there are these moments in time where great companies are born that generate most of the venture returns. And so it's really important coming into venture capital that you consistently invest so that you can hit those great vintage years. And most people believe that, somewhere between 2022, 2023, and 2024 will be the best vintage years in history. And of course, you don't know until 5 to 10 years later. We know 2009 was a fantastic vintage year because it's like 15 years ago now. So in 15 or probably, more like 7 years, we'll know if 2024 was a great vintage year or not. It's looking to be definitely one of the best. Another question that we'll cover with you is how do you source great managers? And for everyone who came in late, we opened up with a screenshot of how we're helping you source great managers, but we're going to expose you to lots of great managers. And you also should find ways to get great managers on your own. Through your own means. And we're going to be covering the best tips, the best tactics to do that. You do want managers coming to you within reason, but we do believe that the future of venture capital investing is where talented limited partners discover talented general partners to invest in, and it goes from the investor to the investment, and which is a better experience for everybody, right? You don't want hundreds of people knocking on your door, 99% of which are terrible. It's much a better experience if you find the 5 or 6 things that you're generally interested in and focused on that. But we'll also be telling you how to find things in other ways. Another pretty big question that we'll cover in the program are what are best practices to do due diligence? This is a little bit tricky because we have everything in the program from sovereign wealth funds to angels looking to diversify. So if you remember what I said earlier, we break people into working groups. And, angels do a lot less due diligence than sovereign wealth funds. So we'll be covering due diligence best practices overall. And then we'll be, saying like how smaller limited partners do due diligence and how larger limited partners do due diligence. Hint, generally speaking, the ultimate due diligence with new and emerging managers is reference checks. And so we'll be doing a lot of discussion of how to do reference checks, what happens with reference checks, et cetera, et cetera. Another big question is venture legal. And, there's a racket of what's called fund formation attorneys. And they take these things that shouldn't be complicated, like an LPA, and they turn them into these like insurance booklets where it's 150 pages long. Every possible eventuality is covered, like, oh, if the manager gets a cold and it's a Thursday, here's what we're it's like, what? So a lot of the stuff in these 150, and by the way, then they write them in language that nobody can read, right? So you get these limited partner agreements or LPAs that are Byzantine, complex documents that are like insurance binders that only trained fund formation professionals can understand. But the reality is 99% of those documents you as an LP don't really need to care about. And there's some seminal things that you do need to care about: limited operations mode, maybe the LPAC, and a few other things. And we will cover the things that really matter to LPs, how to find them in the documents, and that should save you a lot of time and effort with expensive fund formation attorneys on your own side. Because if you want to get someone to read these documents, you're talking about $5,000 or $10,000 potentially. Let me talk a little bit about the program, give you a sense of how it works. It's split into two parts. So in the first part, which is roughly 4 weeks, but it's a little longer because we put breaks in. And the second part is, maybe I should call it sessions or sprints. So the first part's 4 sprints. The second part's also 4 sprints, but it takes a little longer than 2 months. So in the first one, we're doing orientation. Obviously, that makes sense. We'll be covering an overview of the venture capital industry, helping you scout and venture deals, so finding deals to look at. And you'll also be doing venture due diligence and covering that. In the second part, I think we actually changed. So this, I should update this slide. So we replaced venture tools with meetings, because when you, just going back here, when you're scouting and doing all this stuff, it turns out that you need to keep into that 6 to 10 hour a week that we talked about earlier. You need some time to get meetings with the various managers that you're interested in. So instead of venture tools, we've changed that to venture meetings. After you've done some diligence and you've had these meetings, you're going to pick a manager to invest in. So that's, or a set of managers to invest in. That's venture selection. Then you're going to go deeper in due diligence and look at their legal documents and backgrounds with venture legal. And then we'll take you through a closing process and how to be a good LP in venture closing. So again, those are the 2 parts of the program. There's a number of perks for being involved in the program. Again, you're going to get introduced to the top emerging managers in the field. Okay. And as I brought up multiple times already, it is very hard to find the best emerging managers. And I want to just give you a sense of scale for a moment. Okay. So at Decile Group, in our VC Lab Venture Capital Accelerator, we're taking in, over 10,000 venture capital investors per year. Okay. We're running about 5 cohorts a year, and we're averaging over 3,000 venture capitalists that apply to go into the accelerator each cohort. So, it's more like 15,000, but some people apply more than once. So we'll call it's well over 10,000. Okay. From those 10,000 people that apply to work with us, or 10,000 plus people that apply to work with the accelerator, we accept roughly 8%, okay, into our programs to help them launch their firms. From that 8% that we accept, only about a quarter to a third, so call it like 2 to 3% of the total pool, actually get to the point where they launch and close on capital for their fund. And then from that little, 2 to 3%, we then pick the very, very best of those to introduce to you. So you're looking at the top 0.5% of venture capitalists worldwide that you will get to meet through this program. Okay, so these are the best of the best of the best of the best. right? Like literally, it's the best of all the applicants, the best of the people that actually get the funds off the ground, and the best of those people that you get to meet. And so it's an exceptional group. And that's why a lot of limited partners that come in and say, oh, I'm going to do 2 or 3 investments ends up doing more, because they're just meeting phenomenal managers that excite them with their vision and have had phenomenal returns in the past. We've also introduced opportunities for you to invest in venture capital funds below their minimum. So we have what's called a supporter package. So you can come into funds with a $50,000 commitment. And this is designed, we have lots of like sovereign wealth funds, and they're like, they want to put more money to work. But we also have lots of smaller limited partners. And if you only have, let's say, $250,000 to put to work in a year, to commit in a year, I should say, and you maybe we're going to split it between 2 funds, but there now you see 5 you want to do. We have packages where you can put smaller amounts of money to work, and that's pretty unique to us, and we've worked that with the managers. And here's the thing, we have a fund of funds. So we're not like sitting here like, oh, this is how you invest, and we're not investing ourselves. No, we are investing. In fact, we're investing in about 1 to 2 funds a month. I hope later this year we can accelerate that, maybe even do more. And so there are lots of opportunities to invest alongside us. We're putting our money where our mouth is. In fact, many of the firms and funds that we're presenting to you, we're also investing in, right? So you're going to see lots of things that we've invested in. And so we can speak very credibly, and you can co-invest with us, and we'd love you guys to co-invest with us if that's something you want to do. And we're giving you hands-on guidance. So you've got the social sessions, the mentoring sessions, but I offer my calendar up to do one-on-ones all the time. If anyone wants, you can post in the chat right now, and I'd be more than happy to meet with you one-on-one. I'll put my Calendly in there. If you want to do a one-on-one with me and talk about your investment strategies or whatever, pop it in there. Let's do a one-on-one. My goal is to help advance the state of the venture capital industry worldwide. We're primarily focused on venture capitalists, but it's an ecosystem, right? Venture capitalists fail if there aren't good limited partners, right? And limited partners fail if there aren't good venture capitalists. And by the way, what else is needed? Good team members, and ultimately good startups. And I solved the startup equation by launching the Founder Institute, which operates accelerators in 300 cities around the world, and it's created many billion-dollar companies, right? So now we're working on the venture capital side, but in order for everything to work, good startups, good managers of venture capital firms, and good LPs. And so if I can help make that happen, it is an honor and a pleasure to do so. And we target, as I was alluding to, everything from angel investors that want to diversify investing into venture capital, high net worth individuals, family offices, and then institutional investors, things like fund of funds, corporates, sovereign wealth funds, endowments. In every single program, we have all of these, and kind of in equal numbers, roughly, right? So it's strange how it works, because it's not like we have tons of angel or investors applying and no sovereign wealth funds. We kind of have almost equal numbers of each of these buckets apply. A little bit more angel and high net worth individuals, because there's just more of them. But turns out when we create a program, we end up with roughly an equal number of each of these buckets. So it's a pretty amazing experience. These dates are old, so they're from an older presentation, so I'll skip them. So again, just to remind we're going to start in October, everybody. If you don't mind, we got Domenica here helping me. Can you put the dates in the chat for everybody so they have an updated date list of when the final admissions deadline? But if you haven't applied yet, you should apply now because the program's starting in October. And again, the three main goals are meet amazing peers, learn the skills to invest in new and emerging managers, and make great returns. And, the program has been super successful. We have a 83 MPS for program 1 and 2. The participants all found it incredibly rewarding. In a couple weeks' time, we're going to be meeting various of the top limited partners coming from cohort 2. This will be the third cohort. We redo the curriculum every single time based on learnings from the last program to just make it better and better. So we're going to have just an amazing experience for you to master investing in venture capital funds and firms. So yeah, we're here to help. Hopefully this was great. I want to just go back to one thing in the presentation to show everybody who came in a little late. This is the amazing dashboard that we've created to allow you to browse and search for managers all around the world. And when you come into the program, you will get access to this tool as well as powerful community tools. So if you go now and you have questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'll be taking questions in the Q&A. So far, there's no questions yet, so this is a great time to ask them. But let me leave you with a thought in general. So I covered the what, but I didn't really cover the why. And so I'll sort of leave you with the why. We believe that venture capital is a powerful force for good in the world because the venture capitalists invest in things that are the future of humanity, right? So venture capitalists' money goes into companies that become the future. So by their investment, they are making the future. And so they can make a bright future or they can make a dark future, right? By the different choices they make in backing different outcomes. So we believe that venture capitalists with a strong code of ethics, with a sense of making the world a better place, can have an unparalleled positive impact on this world. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create venture capitalists and get them funded with a strong ethical, moral code that want to make the world a better place by investing in things that matter. And so that's our why. All right, there's a question here in the Q&A. If you have other questions, please pop them in. What are the costs, i.e. what percentage or free form of compensation does the Founder Institute Dessel Group take? So the LP Institute, so first let me, the program is free if you've been referred, and I believe it's $1,500 if you don't have a referral. So it's really not designed to be expensive. And like I would say, most people are referred. So most people get in free, but in the off chance that you're not referred, then it's $1,500. And then the I can talk a little bit about why it's free, but there was another thing in the question I just want to clarify. So it said Founder Institute Dessel Group. So the Founder Institute and the Dessel Group are like sister companies, but they're separate entities. The LP Institute is run by Dessel Group, and we use the Founder Institute system to run the program. only because we are like sister companies and good friends. I started the Founder Institute. I started Dessel Group. Uh, but there is no, and there is a commercial relationship between the two companies, but they are completely separate entities, just as an FYI. And why do we not really charge, or why is it not expensive for this program? It's probably a $20,000 or $30,000 program, and it's free for most people, and we're charging $1,500 for everyone else. Because our customers at the end of the day are GPs, and even for the GPs, most of the things that we do are free. We've taken a new view on the world, and that's the following. If we can give enormous amounts of value and benefit to the startup and venture ecosystems, we will eventually make that back in revenue from all of the goodwill that we've created in the world. We're essentially a give first organization and try to make everything free. And it's actually worked remarkably well. Okay. Let me just give you a moment on what's happening. So what do we charge for? How does that work? So most of our software, the training program for VCs is also free, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But when a VC wants to run their firm on and set up their firm, we have a full back office and fund formation group that has a 94 MPS, may I add. And you have to apply to get in. And we have 100, everyone wants to work with us. And because we've created such goodwill and we've done such a good job, so the few premium things that we do, we have a massive waiting list, a huge MPS, and everyone wants, right? And that's because we do so much good in the world. We try to help so many people with no expectation for compensation, that the few things that we do that cost money, like everybody wants, massive line, we have no churn, 100% retention. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. And actually the company right now is kind of right near break even. And again, most of the stuff we do is actually free, but those few things that we do that charge are in such high demand, et cetera, that because of all the goodwill, it's actually worked out really great as a business strategy. There's another question that came in. Do you support back office fund creation, which I just talked about, Registration Act, kind of like what AngelList does, Cayman, Delaware, BVI, or elsewhere. Does this work for LPs as well as GPs? Great question. And please keep the questions coming in the Q&A section. So at the bottom of your screen, there's a little button. They changed the look of it. It's got a question mark that says Q&A. Just click that and put your question in. Yes. So as I was just saying, we do the full turnkey back office for any kind of fund, from an SPV all the way. We don't do too many SPVs because it's not a very good business. So we're primarily focused on funds, but we do fund of funds, venture funds, funds that LPs have set up. And so what makes we're very different from everyone else, in case you haven't noticed. Like Carta has, maybe not the best ethics. AngelList is kind of very automated. And so what we do that makes us different is that it's fully integrated solution where you have a powerful software platform. All the fund formation is done. All the back office is done. And it's a very seamless, automated, easy experience. Okay. And then on top of that, every single firm that we partner with to do their back office, they get a person that they can interact with. So we have powerful AI and all this stuff to help make your, you don't need to interact with the person. But like one of the big problems with a lot of the other organizations out there is there's no one at the other end of the line, right? You can't talk to someone. There's no one. So everyone that we work with has an assigned venture associate that they talk with every 2 weeks or every month, whatever schedule is needed. And it's the same person, that, and they care about you. They're monitoring your success. In fact, we call one of the things that also differentiates us is we look at what we call firm success. So we're all about ensuring that the firms we work with are successful. So we're looking at potential conflicts of interest, potential areas that are being overlooked. Maybe you're not writing thorough deal memos or whatever. So we're really there, using tools, but also using people to ensure that you as a firm succeed. There's another question coming in from Adam. Do you cater for nonprofits? So the question, if you're asking on the LP Institute side, absolutely, we have, you know, if you're looking to, as a nonprofit, to invest in venture capital, we've had a number of endowments, we've had a number of other types of nonprofits that have gone through the program, and they're looking maybe to do some sort of donor advised fund investing or other just investing into venture capital as a means to generate returns. And we completely support that, and it's fairly seamless and easy to do. And we've had lots of people do it in the past. If there are any other questions, now would be a great time to pop them in the Q&A. We've covered a lot of stuff. This was really exciting and amazing, everyone. I'll give you a second here. I'll sort of, we're nearing the end anyway. I'll throw some final thoughts out for you. So this is, I would say right now, a very unique experience in the world. There are not other programs like it, to the best of my knowledge. And let me tell you why. I have spoken with pretty much everyone one-on-one who's been through the LP Institute. We've had 2 cohorts, over 100 participants. And there's been participants at large endowments, at large sovereign wealth funds, and various other large LP organizations that have been looking for a program like this. And it's been interesting because they had some of their senior people go through it, and they're like, wow, not only were we not able to find a program like this, this is actually a very good program. So they've had people in their organization go through the second batch. So in the first batch, we had some senior people. In the second batch, we had some more senior people and more junior people come in. And we've heard universally from people who have been looking for programs like this that they have not been able to find it, and that this is one of the strongest programs that they could imagine to learn how to master investing in new and emerging managers. Adam asked another question here. Will the program benefit a startup nonprofit looking to seek funds? No. So this is only to master being a limited partner in venture capital firms, and particularly new and emerging manager firms. So I mean, and by the way, let me just add a caveat on that. We're going to do an interview with everyone that applies. It will either be me or one of the program managers named Sam. And, there's a lot of GPs that want to get into the LP Institute. We don't allow that. We really are looking for people that are genuinely going to invest in venture capital firms and really have a commitment to do so, and ideally a vision that by doing so they can make the world a better place, right? right? Because that's what we want. So last shot, if there are any questions, I'm here quickly to answer them. Anyone have a question? Let's say going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right. Well, listen, everybody, this was really, really lovely. I hope to be working with you in the near future. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a lovely day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. It's been really amazing to see you all and answer some of your questions and share with you the LP Institute. Thank you very much.